So much of what I try to do in writing the ebook after legalization. By the way, you can find it for free on my website, milesanalytics.net, analytics with a Y. And it's for free. I hope people will look at it, or the brief report, and I hope people will share it. I didn't intend to monetize this. That's what this is all about. So much of what I was trying to do in putting the book together is try to figure out, the basic question of the book is, does marijuana legalization lead to negative consequences, and do those outweigh the positives? And that's not what I found at all. In fact, marijuana legalization has been overwhelmingly positive in terms of economy and even, public health, probably, because, well, I'll do future videos on that. So what I did is try to dig into what happens to drug treatment admissions in states that legalize. Because the logic runs like this: if marijuana is acting as a gateway drug and leading to different abuse of different types of drugs, harder drugs, so to speak, we should be able to see it in drug overdoses and in treatment center admissions. And what I found was quite surprising. And the data all come from SAMHSA. I've got a little web browser open in my dashboard here. SAMHSA, the State Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. They're a arm of the Department of Health and Human Services, and they collect data from all the states and collate them, and you can find this online. It's an open source data source, and it's really kind of cool. They have an interactive data tool that you can look at tables for individual states, and what I found was shocking. So in terms of total number of drug treatment center admissions, states did not see an uptick after legalization. And we have now, look, Colorado legalized in 2013, so now we have 7 years of data to play with, and none of these states had significant upticks in drug treatment centers. In fact, Washington is shocking. Washington seems to have dropped from 93,000 drug treatment center admissions statewide in 2016 to 35,167 in 2017. I'm a little skeptical of the data still, because Washington seems to have stopped reporting data to the federal government after 2018. But one thing I think might be happening is Washington State had a rather aggressive drug diversion program. And the way it works is, if someone gets arrested for a small amount of marijuana, then when they go to court, they could be given a choice of going to a treatment center, publicly funded treatment center, in lieu of jail. This was for first-time offenders and people with small drug offenses. So I suspect a lot of admissions during that time period were they're for court-ordered. They were court-ordered. And when marijuana stopped being arrested, you look at the decline here, 2016, cops stopped arresting for marijuana, and you just saw a decline in the number of drug treatment center admissions. So I suspect a lot of them are court ordered. But Washington, I was skeptical and still am of Washington's data, but we see the same pattern in other states. Colorado's drug treatment center admissions have remained remarkably steady. They've barely budged since 2013. Well, they did go up a bit, and that's probably because of synthetic opioids. They went up a bit around 2017. California's dropped substantially. So we're seeing this in all of I call them the first wave of states that legalize marijuana. We're seeing drug treatment center admissions drop almost everywhere. And so I decided to drill down a little bit more and isolate them by percentage of all admissions for different substances. And we see marijuana's dropped. Marijuana admissions have either stayed steady or dropped for every state. And so breaking this down, alcohol is by far the biggest category of drug treatment and center admissions. Heroin and methamphetamine, way below that. In fact, in Colorado, this never crosses 20%. And then marijuana down here, this light blue line. And then other opiates is going to be your prescription meds, prescription opioids, and things like that. Marijuana never breaks anywhere near alcohol, and certainly rates have been declining. We look here in California, they're declining substantially. California's big problem is with methamphetamines, but even that, I don't know why it would have dropped here and gone back up so so steeply, but it's barely budged. Heroin's been up and down, but never varying by too much. 26% of all admissions seems to be the high point. Then it dropped, and then it went back up to 25.6. So the take-home message here is it has no effect, or it can actually reduce admissions. But when we break it down, let me toggle this just to show marijuana. When we showed just marijuana only, these have all declined. So it doesn't even seem that marijuana is producing higher rates of drug abuse, but marijuana does not even seem to be getting higher rates of marijuana abuse. It's one way to look at it. So this was startling, and again, you can check these data out. They're just publicly available. This was startling to me, and I don't know, maybe some watchers will be surprised too. So more to come. Stay tuned.